Hey, 2K roster aficionados. It's the Real 2K Insider back with another episode of the NBA 2K roster review. We are recapping games from January 4th, 2021. There were 9 games, so let's get right to it. The Orlando Magic blew out the Cavaliers by 20, 103 to 83. The Magic ended a 2-game losing streak, went up to 5-2 on the season. Evan Fournier was out again, but Aaron Gordon stepped up with 24 points, 11 rebounds to bounce back from a couple stinkers that he had. Nikola Vucevic had 23 points, and Terence Ross added 15 off the bench. Khem Burke also had 12 points and 12 rebounds, a rare double-double for him off the bench. He'll probably trickle up in rating while Mo Bamba is out, but let's look a little bit at Vucevic. He's having a season that's on par with his All-Star 2019 season. He's shooting 53%, including 47% on threes. So we're going to boost his rating just a little bit. 2 points in the three, and then just going to max out his offensive consistency. I'm pretty happy with where his overall rating is. Terence Ross, we're going to give him some love as well. He's averaging 21 points off the bench. He's having a career year. He's shooting 48% from the field, 41% from three, and 92% from the free throw line. Last year, that was 40, 35, and 85. So huge increase to his efficiency this year. So we're going to boost a couple of his shooting rating. Let's give him +5 and close, bring him up to 85.3, which is also where he would have been at in 2019. He regressed a little bit last year. Boost his shot IQ up to 90 and his offensive consistency up to 85. That boosts overall by a point. He's the best backup small forward in the NBA, and he ranks 13th overall among small forwards. So we also need to adjust his shot rating, or shot tendency, I should say, to reflect the increased role that he's having in the offense this year. And with the shot tendency, we also have to boost the touch tendency. We're going to bump that all the way up to an 80. And this is basically the shot tendency for the gameplay. Basically, he's on par with Evan Fournier in terms of touches on the who the computer is going to go to. Especially when Vucevic is out of the lineup, he's just going to be the top option off the bench. But with the starters, he's just going to be, another guy. But let's move on to the Cavaliers, as they did not have a great game. They might have been shaken up a little bit, as Dante Exum, he went down early in the game, about 49 seconds in, with what we thought might have been an Achilles injury, because it was a non-contact injury to his lower leg. The good news is he only strained his calf, so it looks like a disaster was averted here. Exum, he's only played 42% of his career games, 245 of a possible 583, and he actually started at point guard in this one, as Darius Garland was sitting out due to a strained shoulder. So the strained shoulder helps explain the 3 for 14 night that Garland had, so he might miss a couple games as he recovers from that. The coach called Colin Sexton a walking bucket, but he's not much of a point guard, as he had 24 points on 10 of 19 shooting, but only 2 assists on a night where they didn't have a point guard, so you would have liked to have seen more out of him there. Chetty Osman, he picked up most of the playmaking responsibility and had 18, 7, and 7 off the bench, filling in for Exum. Damien Dotson, he started at small forward, where Exum had been starting with the Okoro sideline, and he moved to point guard with Garland out of the lineup. Dotson played well. He had 16 points, 6 of 10 from the field, 3 of 6 on threes, so look for him to continue to start while everybody is out. The team's really hurting on the perimeter, as they're missing a lot of guys, whereas all the bigs on the team, except for Kevin Love, are healthy. So the Grizzlies, they just signed Tim Frazier with the hardship exception, based on all the injuries that they had this year, and the Cavs could be going that route shortly, as they're missing 6 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 players. Okay. So I think an injury or two more, and they'll be able to apply for that. Oh, I guess it actually depends on how long Garland is going to be out too. And Okoro's also been out. Man, yeah, they might be right at the apron, depending on. I don't know exactly offhand how many games a player has to either miss or be expected to miss in order for that exception to kick in, but maybe next week they'll add somebody. But let's move on to the 76ers, who blew out the Hornets 118 to 101. Sixers moved up to an NBA best 6-1. They were led by Tobias Harris with 22 points on 10 of 16 shooting. He's been their second best player rather than Ben Simmons, so we're going to give him some love as he bounced back from a really mediocre 2020 season, boosting his three-point shot. He's shooting 52% from the field overall and 47% on threes, so really playing at a high level right now. And the move to small forward last year just didn't make sense really for him, so a lot of his numbers are up in areas where you would expect with him moving from the 3 to the 4. So his block rating and offensive rebound ratings, they returned to what they normally were when he was playing power forward. So we're going to bump his orb rating up and his block rating up. And we're also just going to boost the offensive consistency since he is playing so well there, and he jumps 1 point overall. Ben Simmons, his numbers are down overall in the season. He's only shooting 51% versus 58% last year, although his defensive rebound rate is up at like a Russell Westbrook type of level, and his block rate has also doubled, but his steal rate is down. So because of all this fluctuation, I want to wait a little bit, feel it out for a few games before I make any changes. I think his overall is probably going to be around 86 when it's all said and done. I wouldn't expect him to make the All-Star team with the numbers that he's putting up right now, but the team is playing well, and that's what matters. He already got his big contract extension. It doesn't really matter what kind of accolades he puts in. Like, championships are really going to be the metric that championships and playoff success, I guess, more broadly, is really what he's going to be judged for during his 20s. And going over to the Hornets, they lost again. Devonte Graham, he's having a nightmare year. He had 15 points on 5 of 13 shooting, was 5 of 11 on threes, so at least he shot the ball better in this one. He'd gone 1 for 10 in each of the last 2 games. He only had 1 assist in 24 minutes, though, and I just don't understand why they're starting him against Ben Simmons as they played the Sixers for the second consecutive game. LaMelo Ball once again outplayed Graham. He had 12 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. He only shot 5 of 16 from the field, but I'll take some erratic shooting with everything else that he's flat out better than Graham at, as he also is a far superior player defensively. They're losing games, and they've been reluctant to make this lineup change. They felt a 2-5 on the year with this loss, so I'm hopeful that the coach makes a change sooner rather than later. Moving on over to the Knicks, who beat the Hawks 113 to 108. The Knicks are 4-3 on the year. Somebody pinch me. It's 7 games into the year, and the Knicks are 5th in the Eastern Conference, which I don't remember the last time they've been that good. Probably the year they made the playoffs with Carmelo Anthony when Mike Woodson was coaching the team. I think 2012 or 2013. So it's been a while since they've even been 500, Julius Randle, he had 28 points, 17 rebounds, 9 assists. He did have 7 turnovers, but he shot 11 of 19 from the field. He was 0 for 5 on threes, but he has been shooting that shot better as of late. RJ Barrett, he had 26 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists. Shot 10 of 19 from the field, 1 of 5 on threes, 5 of 7 from the line. He's averaging 18 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. He's leading the league with 39 minutes a game, which probably shouldn't be a surprise on a Tom Thibodeau team. RJ Barrett's basically his new Luol Deng and Jimmy Butler on the wing. And he's still, though, overall held back by his shooting numbers, as he's very inconsistent. He's averaging 26 points a game in the 3 games that he shot the ball well, and 12 points a game in the 4 games that he couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. So collectively, he's only shooting 40%, 24% on threes, and 78% from the line on the year. So really boomer bust type player. Emmanuel quickly, he had a career night with 16 points off the bench, 4 of 7 shooting, 2 of 3 on threes, 6 of 6 from the line. He's going to end the terms of Frank Ntilikina and Dennis Smith Jr. on this team, because both of these guys, regardless of how you feel about, Ntilikina is probably going to be a solid role player in his career, and Dennis Smith might be a lost cause, definitely a reclamation project for whoever his new team is going to be. But both of these guys are in the final year of their deals, while Quickly's under team control for the next 4 years. And these guys are both entering restricted free agency. So the team control aspect makes them attractive to teams in trades as like expiring contracts, like slash young players that might work out down the line. You know, as bad as Dennis Smith was last year, it's still probably going to take another 2 years for him to fall out of the league completely, I would think. You know, as a former lottery pick, he's just too. They really got to. Hey, Dante Exum's still in the league. You know, Dennis Smith Jr.'s got a chance, right? So let's work on the ratings for the Knicks, and we're going to dive a little deep on Julius Randle, similar to how we did with Blake Griffin. Randle's averaging 22 points, 11 rebounds, and 7 assists. He's doubled his assist rate from last year. He's shooting 51% from the field and 11 of 27 on threes, which is 41%. So we're going to boost his shooting numbers just a little bit, boost his three-point rating up to 79. He hit 34% the year before he joined the Knicks, so I think that's a fair rating. We're going to boost his pass ratings. Where's his vision? Let's bring that up here. Pass IQ up, pass accuracy up. Let me just tweak this down because I think that's a little high. He's not really a dunker underneath the rim. And we're gonna work on his badges a little bit. As we look at his badges, he's got 13 finishing badges, but you notice no shooting badges and only the 2 playmaking badges. And we just mentioned that he doubled his assist rate. His assist rate right now is 32%, and that's like Blake Griffin tier. And when we edited Blake Griffin, we noticed that he has a bunch of playmaking badges, so it only makes sense to give the same kind of love to Randle. So let's hop on in. And starting off with the inside scoring, I'm going to give him post spin technician. He spins a lot when he posts up. He's got good handle overall on the post, so we'll boost that up to a silver. We're going to give him drop stepper. Why? Because why not? He's a good post player. We're going to remove Lob City finisher because he's I don't know how the hell he got that. He's a ground pounder. He had 4 alley-oops in 2,000 minutes last year, so no way he should have that. And put back boss. We're gonna decrease this from gold to like silver because he isn't like the most. It's not like a super big part of his game. He's not crashing the boards like Andre Drummond or like Clint Capella or like just other great rim crashing big men. He's not particularly efficient at it either. So I'm going to drop him there. Shooting, he has, or outside scoring, I should say, he has no badges. I'm going to give him hot start, which is basically the microwave badge. When Randle gets going, he's usually able to stay hot for the course of a game. Speaking of hot starts, he's now 81st percentile in spot ups. So if that holds up, I definitely give him at least bronze in catch and shoot, but for now, I'm going to hold off giving him that badge, but you could make a case for that. You could maybe make a case for difficult shots, depending on whether his percentages hold up throughout the year, and maybe even like a bronze deadeye or something. But holding off on that for now, we're going to focus now on his playmaking. Let's give him Dimer, as he's got a really good assist rate. Bailout, a lot of his assists are mid-shot, and like they're actually kind of flashy too. Like they're one-handed whip passes that he's making like out of his shots or out of like post-ups. So we'll give him flashy passer as well. And because he's such a good isolation player, I'm also going to give him quick first step silver. And where's bailout? Okay, bailout. Bailout. I gave him flashy passer. I gave him. Okay, yeah, that's everything. And this should bump him up to an 84 overall. So pretty solid so far for a Randall on the year. And let's look at RJ Barrett. We're gonna boost up his mid-range rating just a little bit as he's shooting well. He's shooting better from there. It's his three-point rating that hasn't really come around. He's shooting 78% of the free throw line. Last year he was down to 60. He was 61%. Terrible. So he's at the middle ground right now. I do think that he's closer to being a 70s free throw shooter, and that last year was an aberration. So pretty comfortable with that. We're gonna boost his pass rating a little bit, as his pass rate's a little increased from last year. His rebound rate is up from last year, so we'll buff that as well. Defensively, we're going to boost his defensive consistency to a respectable rate. He was one of the worst defensive guards in the league last year, but right now the Knicks are 11th in defense, and obviously he's playing the most minutes on the team as he's leading the league in minutes per game. So I do think that their defensive rating is a reflection of Barrett's increased effort on this end. And as we just mentioned a couple times, he's leading the league in minutes per game, so we'll max out his stamina. He's playing 39 minutes a game for what it's worth, and this buffs him to a 78 overall. And if he can get rid of these nightmare shooting games that he has and make these 25-point games, 26-point games a regular thing, he's going to be in the low 80s in no time, like in the Evan 48 tier, which is pretty damn good for a 20-year-old shooting guard. And we're going to work on, well, not really work on Emmanuel quickly. We worked on him in the last game. He doesn't have the sample size. Like, right now, his stats are fantastic, but he's only played 46 minutes, so there isn't much to really read into on that. But we're going to boost a couple things on him, just his ball handle rating, because he is playing point guard. And because he isn't a pass-first point guard, the overall formula really penalizes him hard. So we're just going to max out his intangibles to get his overall rating high, as this will make sure that he's actually in the rotation for the Knicks, as otherwise he's actually below Dennis Smith Jr. This puts him on the same tier as Frank Ntilikina, and I mean the stretch of the 3-game stretch that Quickly's had in his NBA career, he's basically on par with the best year, like the good games that Ntilikina's had in his career. Ntilikina's issue has always been his consistency. So let's do that and adjust the rotation. That puts Quickly's on the outside of the rotation, but he should be in because I'm going to injure Alec Burks. Burks has missed the last 4 games. I'm just going to, and also, for what it's worth, I always do personal reasons for my injuries because it doesn't affect the overall rating. That's just my personal preference. And what I mean by that is, let's do pinched right elbow nerve. That drops his rating. I don't want to have to find him like on the screen or wonder where he, I don't want guys like all the way at the bottom or whatever, or have to do math when I'm figuring out player ratings. So that's my reason. All my injuries are personal reasons in my roster. But anywho, let's move on to the Hawks. Oh, hold on. Derp. Okay, adjust there, and boom, quickly is in the rotation. Oh, also, I also generally like bench depth to be 10 for all teams. And here, Knox is in the rotation now too. Phenomenal. Okay. Going over to the Hawks, who lost this game to the Knicks. They dropped down to 4-3. Trae Young, he had 31 points, 14 assists, 9 of 22 from the field, 1 of 6 on threes, and 12 of 15 from the line. Continued to get to the line at a super high rate. That's going to hold up throughout the year. DeAndre Hunter tied his season high with 23 points. He also had 8 rebounds, shot 9 of 15 from the field, 3 of 6 on threes. He's hit 17 threes in 7 games on 49% shooting. So he's a completely different player this year, looking like the guy that they expected to get 4th overall. I think 79 overall is underrated. It's worth noting he only has 5 badges, so he probably needs some love there. So look for me to do that in a future episode. Let's move on to the Heat, who blew out the Thunder 118-90. They moved up to 3-3 on the year. Jimmy Butler, he got himself going with 18 points on and 6 assists on 6 of 12 shooting. He was 0 for 6 from the field in his last game, so good bounce back game for him. Statistically, he doesn't look like he's going to make the All-Star team this year, so he's going to have to continue to perform to maintain this lofty overall rating that he's got. But for now, we're not. He's a player that where he does so many glue guy things that you don't read too heavily into his offensive production. Obviously, he's not like the greatest long range shooter or anything, but phenomenal defensively. Bam Adebayo, he chipped in with 20 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists. He was 9 for 10 from the field. And the big news, though, for the Heat, I thought, was Kelly Olynyk. He was the starting power forward in this game. He's been playing well for the Heat, and the only power forward that they've been able to get any kind of consistent production out of. And he got the start. He played well. He had 19 points, 8 rebounds, shot 7 and 9 from the field, 5 of 7 on threes. And with results like that, I think he should continue to start. So worst case scenario, at least they're building his trade value. But in order, because he was the highest rated power forward on the roster, but was coming off the bench, we had to turn on force non-starter. So I'm going to turn that off for him, and that's going to get him back in the starting lineup. And Tyler Hero, he had 9 points, 8 rebounds. 9 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists, season high in assists. His rebounds are also up, but I think that's a little less likely to stick. His assist rate basically doubled. So we're going to increase his pass rating. And as mentioned, as I mentioned with Emmanuel quickly, the overall rating hurts non-passers. So definitely want to get his pass ratings up. And it's not going to change his overall, but I'm cool with that. He hasn't really been scoring super efficiently, but he'll probably be up in 80-81 range in no time, I think. Going over to the OKC Thunder. They dropped to 2-4. Al Horford and George Hill, they combined to shoot 2 for 11 from the field, so not their best outing. Gilgeous-Alexander, 18 points, 4 assists. Darius Bazley, he had 16 points, 8 rebounds, was 5 of 10 from the field, 3 of 5 on threes. I did mention he's been playing better, so let's touch him up. Boost his free throw rating. He's 10 for 11 on the year, I think. Shot IQ, we're going to boost a couple points. Offensive consistency, we're going to boost a couple points. He's playing much better than he did as a rookie. His rebound rating is up as the full-time starter at the 4. And all that boosts his overall rating by a point. So let's move on to the Boston Celtics, who beat the Raptors 126-114. Jayson Tatum, he had 40 points on 11 of 19 shooting, 5 of 8 on threes, and 13 of 13 from the line. The free throws are a very welcome sight, as he didn't get to the line on his first 50 field goal attempts of the year. So way to earn back that foul draw rating. Tremont Waters, he started this game for Marcus Smart, and he had 5 points, 5 assists on 1 of 8 shooting. But Peyton Pritchard, he basically led the second unit off the bench. He had 23 points, 8 assists, 8 of 13 from the field. We extolled his virtues and boosted his ratings in the last episode, so check that out if you haven't already. Time Lord Robert Williams, he also had 11 points and 15 rebounds in only 20 minutes. Super productive off the bench, and definitely outplayed Tristan Thompson and Daniel Tyson this game. Ditto for Grant Williams, who added 14. The second unit plus Tatum basically blitzed the Raptors in the second quarter of this one. So going over to the Raptors, who dropped to 1-5 on the year. They finally got a reasonable performance out of Pascal Siakam. He had 22 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists on 7 of 15 shooting. And Fred VanVleet had his best game of the year with 35 points, 1 short of his career high. He shot 13-20 from the field and 6 of 9 on threes. Those two guys, though, didn't get any help as the rest of the team combined to shoot an ugly 11 of 55. So going over to the Dallas Mavericks, who beat the Rockets 113 to 100. The Mavericks, they go up 3-4 with that win. Luka, he had 33 points, 16 rebounds, 11 assists, first triple double of the year. He's fine. He started off a little slow, but he shot 12 of 25 from the field, 3 of 10 on threes, and 6 of 6 from the line in this one. The bigger news is the Mavericks shuffled their lineup a bit. Willie Cauley-Stein, he started for Dwight Powell, while Maxi Kleber, he entered the starting lineup, pushing Dorian Finney-Smith to his natural small forward, while Tim Hardaway Jr. moved to the bench. I mentioned in the last episode that Josh Richardson and Hardaway had been struggling together, so staggering them appears to have gotten Hardaway going, has appeared to have helped Hardaway get going, as he immediately dropped 30 points on 11 of 14 shooting and 8 of 10 on threes in this game. So, in order to get that rotation, all we're going to do is turn off. I'm pretty aggressive with using force non-starter in order to control the lineups in this game. We're going to turn off the non-starter for Cauley-Stein, turn it off for Kleber, and we're going to turn it on for Tim Hardaway Jr. as he's the highest rated 3, and otherwise he'll start. So do that, and then just rebuild, and boom, that's their lineup. So heading over to the Rockets, James Harden came back from his sprained ankle, but he struggled with his shot. He had 21 points, 10 assists, only 5 of 17 shooting. Christian Wood, he had 23 points on 8 of 15 shooting, but he missed 5 threes, and he's only 6 of 22 on threes this year, so that's 27%. So we might be dropping his three-point rating down to like upper 70s. We're going to wait a couple more games and see. Eric Gordon, he had another good game, added 20 off the bench. He's averaging 19 points through his first 3 games and might be due for a re-rate soon. He's playing. He looks better than he's looked in a couple years, so I'd probably consider him in like the 82 range, like a shade under like Evan Fournier, basically one of the best 6-man. He's one of the best 2 guards in the NBA coming off the bench. And David Nwaba, he started for Daniel House due to a back issue. Nwaba had started some games at shooting guard, but I consider him more of a natural 3, so this allows us to keep him there. Going over to the Bucks, who beat the Pistons 125 to 115. Giannis, he had 43 points on 7 of 24 shooting, just a monster. Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, they combined for 35 points, and the bench trio of Augustine, Portis, and Forbes, they combined for 31 points. Those are the line. When the Bucks get those kind of lines, they're going to win most of their games this year. And going over to the Pistons, Jeremy Grant, he continued to score. He had 24 points on 10 of 25 shooting. Not his most efficient game, but the shots are going to be there for him as the Pistons obviously believe in him. Derrick Rose had his best game of the year with season-high 24 points and 8 assists. Shot 9 of 18 off the bench. This was his first game this year looking like himself, so he gets to maintain his rating for now. Sadiq Bey, he started for Blake Griffin again, as it was a back-to-back. And Wayne Ellington, he started in place of Josh Jackson rather than Delon Wright, as speculated, and he played well, having 13 points on 5 of 7 shooting. And he hit 3 of those were threes, so solid performance for him. Going over to the Pacers, who beat the Pelicans in overtime, 118 to 116. Pacers moved up to 5-2 on the year. Their starting lineup is just stacked. Malcolm Brogdon, he had 21 points, 7 rebounds, 11 assists. Oladipo had 25 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists. Sabonis had 19 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. And Miles Turner added 17 points and 3 blocks. So they don't miss T.J. Warren at all. Justin Holiday, he played 44 minutes off the bench to his brother Aaron Holiday's 20 minutes. Aaron's the starter, of course. So even if they don't make a lineup change, it's clear that Justin's going to pick up the lion's share of minutes with T.J. Warren out. And going over to the Pelicans, Those were pretty good matchup because these teams are both stacked in the starting lineup and don't really. They have a very short bench rotation, so this was just a slugfest between two teams' starting lineups for the most part. So Brandon Ingram, he had another Kevin Durant-esque performance with 31 points and 8 assists, only one turnover in 40 minutes, though he only shot 12 of 31 from the field. Zion added 24 and 10. Lonzo Ball had 18, 6 and 6. Bledsoe and Adams were solid as well. So pretty solid year for the Pelicans so far. They dropped down to 4 and 3, but they're looking to make the playoffs. And finally, we get to the Golden State Warriors, who clowned the Kings 137 to 106. They moved up to 4 and 3 on the season, and Steph did not disappoint in his encore. He had 62 the night before, and tonight he had 30 points, 9 rebounds, 8 assists, shot 9-18 from the field, 5-12 on threes. So if he keeps shooting the lights out like this, might go up in rating again. Andrew Wiggins and Kelly Oubre Jr., they combined for 34 points on 13 of 28 shooting, including 6 of 10 on threes, so they appear to have weathered the storm. A team that is not weathering the storm, though, are the Sacramento Kings, who dropped to 3 and 4. De'Aaron Fox and Harrison Barnes had 18 points each, but the rest of the team just didn't show up. Marvin Bagley, he had 5 points on 2 of 9 shooting. He's been awful this year. He's shooting only 36% from the field, and most of those are coming from 2-point range. His dad tweeted out a trade request. Hopefully he'll stay out of my DMs when I drop his ratings. But for now, that wraps it up for this edition of the 2K roster review. Is there a player that you think should be going up or down in rating in week 2 of the NBA season? Leave a comment and let me know. Hit that subscribe button so that you won't miss an episode of 2K roster content. And it helps grow the channel, which ensures that I can continue to produce these episodes daily. So thanks everyone for the support, and I'll see you tomorrow.